views on the current issues which are in the early childhood education. Basically, effective leaders set many strategic directions to foster professional values, but there are many issues which are currently faced by our early childhood education, some of which are like staff retention, access and affordability, quality standards, equity and inclusion, learning during COVID. So one of the major issues which I will be discussing today will be the access and affordability, and then I will be um, consulting all the like academic literature together with policy documents, recent articles on the same topic, and we'll be describing that in the video. Also, um, so let's basically start the conversation. So access and affordability. So these are one of the most pressing challenges within the Australian early childhood education sector. There are many strong policy commitments and universal access and inclusion, but still, due to the costs involved and the financial and structural barriers, there are many families which limit their children's participation in quality early learning programs. So, the Early Learnings Framework EYLF version 2.0, which I will be referencing here, and the National Quality Standards, which plays a major role in the Australian early childhood education, they are like quite equitable access to education as a foundation for lifelong learning. However, because of the rising service cost after the COVID, everyone sees that there is an increased cost, whether they are like house loans or groceries or basic things. The costs have gone up a lot. This also pose risks to the children's academic early education. So we will be discussing all those. So basically, ECE sectors in Australia operates under a mixed market modeling, combining public, private, and not-for-profit providers. There are some childcare subsidies which aim to reduce the financial burdens for families. Yet, the affordability remains a significant concern. The Productivity Commission 2023 found that despite increased government investment, many families still spend a high proportion of household income on childcare fees, especially in metropolitan areas. Say the childcare center which I work during my internships, the costs are from like even from toddlers to the preschoolers. It um, difference from 80 to $150 per day, basically, which is a very huge cost as compared to the earning of in today's lifestyle. Children in rural and remote communities, as well as those from cultural and linguistic diverse or aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander backgrounds, face more additional barriers related to location, transport, and cultural responsiveness. This can be cited for the Brennan and Edmondson 2023 report. According to the Logan Press and Submission in their 2021, these inequities undermine the principles of fairness and opportunities that underpin the EYLF and National Quality Framework. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which goes as OECD, in their 2022 report highlights that equitable access to affordable early education contributes to improved child outcomes, gender equity in the workforce, and long-term social cohesion. However, due to the affordability issues, and they often led to under participation among low income families, reducing children's opportunities to develop essential cognitive and social skills in the early years. Furthermore, we can also note that workforce shortages contribute to affordability pressures. Limited supply of quality educators drives wages competition. Although, like government are doing their all by providing sponsorships and more work opportunities to the people, so that there can be more workforce in the early childhood education, but still the gap is a all-time high, which increases service costs. At the same time, educators experience low pay and high workloads, contributing to turnover and instability, factors that undermine quality and accessibility. Most of the educators which I know from my childcare also, they are like they like to work there, but the thing is the working hours are huge. The amount of work they need to do according to the national quality standards, they need to provide all the reports and pictures and do all the activities, and the pay comparatively is very less. So the intersection of workforce, affordability and access issues creates a cycle where families struggle to afford care, providers struggle to retain staff, and children miss out vital learning experiences. This complex dynamic demands basically strong leadership and advocacy need strong leadership to ensure equitable and sustainable education for all. So, what are the risks and challenges, particularly in the Australian EC early childhood context? So, the challenges of access and affordability pose multiple risks to quality and inclusiveness of early learning. From the perspective of EYLF and NQS, these risks relate to the principles of equity, diversity, and high expectations for every child. When families cannot afford or access quality education, children's learning may be negatively impacted, and there may be discrepancies between advantaged and disadvantaged groups widen. The di- this directly conflicts with EVLF principle 2. What is EVLF principle 2? Which basically links to the partnerships with families, which promotes collaborations to support equitable learning opportunities. So, due to these rising cost factors and affordability, there is a possible risk to the principle 2, where like there should be equitable partnership between the families. It also threatens the National Quality Framework Area 6, which basically focuses on collaborative partnerships with families and communities, and also Quality Area 7, where there is a governance and leadership, which emphasize inclusive policies and ethical leadership. So there may be some like lag between these policies, which will lag to the quality areas. So the families and communities, they are not much indulging. They all want their children to go to the child care center, but because of the rising costs, these quality areas are affected. A key risk is the creation of a two-tier system where high quality education becomes a privilege for families who can afford higher fees. Basically, we don't want that in the Australian context. We want everyone to be treated fairly and get equal opportunities. But due to these rising costs, we are basically developing a two-tier system. So people with the money or more privileged can afford higher fees and can send their children to the better child care centers wherever the like from the working class and who cannot afford those higher fees may lag behind. Also, like if we talk about not in the metropolitan area, if we move further to the rural and regional areas, there are like more limited service availability of the child care centers. Although like there is a growing demand and the people like businesses are bringing their more childcare centers to the regional areas, but again there are like less number of staff, and then the less number of people can afford their high paying fees because they are not backed by the government or the community. So in metropolitan areas, families from low social income backgrounds may rely on lower cost services that struggle to meet quality standards due to funding limitations. That is the reason we can see that only children can like most of the children only come like 2 or 3 days in a childcare center instead of attending all the 5 days. It's not because their uh, parents don't want to send them to the childcare center. The main reason is that the costs, they cannot afford to send their children 5 days, so they rely on only sending them 2 or 3 days over there, and the learning is basically limited. For educators, affordability pressures can result in reduced professional development, limited resources, and stress associated with meeting standards under constrained budgets. That is the reason that most of the people are only like diploma holders in the early childhood education, because they don't have enough time and money, and also like the support from the childcare centers are not that much, so they can like improve their learning over the time and get like degrees or become more effective. These issues collectively undermine the EYLF outcomes, particularly outcome 1, which says that children have a strong sense of identity, and outcome 4, where children are confident and involved learners, which rely on consistent high quality engagement with skilled educators. So more the children will come, more they will gain confidence and will be more consistent. But if they are coming only 2 or 3 days due to the money factor, then this engagement will be less, and the students, even if they want to learn more, there will be some hesitant. Leadership also plays a crucial role in managing these risks. Without reflective and strategic leadership, services may prioritize financial survival over quality improvement. This can diminish team morale, affect staff retention, and reduce collaboration with learning communities. So, what we can do? What are the strategies and leadership implications? So, the literature identified several key strategies. First, policy advocacy for equitable funding models remains essential. The Productivity Commission in 2023 recommended that expanding the childcare subsidy to cover a greater proportion of costs for low and middle income families while simplifying eligibility requirements. Government can also support fees caps or direct public commission could further ensure affordability without compromising quality, as stated by Brennan and Advention in 2023. At the same time, investment in educator wages and professional development would help stabilize the workforce and prevent cost driven service closures. Second, so leadership within the early childhood also plays a pivotal role, which we already mentioned. So, according to the ACACA 2017, effective leaders set strategic directions and promote professional values that shape positive workforce culture by fostering collaboration, transparency, and reflective practices. Leadership empower educators to innovate and respond flexibility to family needs, because we all know that there might be different kind of families, they all have cultural and diverse backgrounds. So educate, like, only if the leaders are good enough, then they can tell, then the educators will feel more confident to include like more activities, so that there will be more inclusion, more people can be affected. This might include offering flexible enrollment options, part-time attendance, or community partnership to support vulnerable families. Building strong relationship with families should be guided by under the National Quality Standard Quality Area 6, which enables leaders to identify barriers to access and co-create solutions that respect cultural and financial diversity. Finally, third, so innovative service delivery models can enhance both access and affordability. What are innovative service delivery models? So mobile early learning programs, integrated community hubs, and family daycare networks have proven effective in reaching undeserved populations, according to the OECD report in 2022. Leaders can also leverage technology for administrative efficiency and parent communication. After the COVID, we know that the online communication and has been on a boom already. So we should try to indulge all those in our early childhood education. There are already many centers like which are moving forward to the tabs where they can um, record the daily observations and what are the learning of their children, and they can post directly on the uh, on a website or a web page which basically used by the early childhood center. So these are some of the things which help basically to improve all the learnings. So also, if you do this, there will be like quality area 7 which is also followed, which ensures that strategies remain respective responsive to evolving community needs. So finally, reflective leadership is crucial for sustaining change. By modeling inquiry and openness to feedback, leaders cultivate professional learning communities that prioritize equity and inclusion, according to the Sims and Vanayake 2020. Regular reflective sessions should be placed in the childcare centers. There should be data informed decision making that and mentorship initiatives to view access and affordability not as external constraint but as shared responsibilities within their professional culture. So, through the reflective and collaboration leadership, early childhood professionals can build inclusive, sustainable services that can honor every child's right to participate in and benefit from early education. As the sector continues to evolve, collective advocacy for fair funding, workforce stability, and family partnerships will remain essential to achieve the vision of universal, affordable, and high quality early learning for all the Australian children, which is the primary goal of all of us. Thank you very much.